So, if you're still with me in this fourth of the series, I'm glad I haven't bored you to tears and you must still be interested. So anyways, this assumes that our field data entry is done on a tablet or similar device and we are back at the office, ready to do some final crunching and formatting. One of the things we can do is, of course, hide this column here. Don't need to have the client see our mnemonic. And I also failed to mention that we have a duplicate units column here, and this is basically controlled by the array string, where this cell here will just simply reference that cell there, and it just keeps us from entering the units every time, so we can just hide that extra column there. Another thing we're going to want to do typically is just filter out all the positives. So one way of doing that is just sorting out all the things flagged here with an X, or another way of doing it would be to go to this column here and do a custom auto filter where that cell is filtered to something that contains the word ACM and does not equal, of course, non-ACM. So that would all be filtered out there, and then you could either copy that into a table of all your positives, or you could just generate a separate table from this same database. Another thing that can be done, going back to the HA table, is once this is completed, we of course have our MM menu divided into our submenus, and since these submenus aren't really defined by EPA rather, we want to get rid of those. So we have a macro set up, which I call the MM cleanup, and when you run that, it simply changes all your subcategories of miscellaneous materials into just MM, which is, of course, the more familiar abbreviation. And of course, that then fires automatically all your array strings on the FS table so that they are changed accordingly. Another thing that can be done is, remember, these are locked arrays based on this range here. You can't change these or edit these no matter how hard you try on the functional space table. However, you can, if you choose to, use this macro here, convert array to value, and therefore these would all be unlocked and just be sort of a paste special values, so that you could then edit these individually if you wanted. It would also free up this range here so that if you wanted to rearrange those columns, you could do that as well. So let's turn this off here, go back to showing all our data. And then the final thing we can do is our subtotaling operation, where we tally up the quantities for each material. So for example, if you want to tally up all your 9x9, you simply filter out and show just your 9x9. In this system here, the negatives aren't quantified, but you could also, if you were in the practice of quantifying your negatives as well, just filter out the negatives before you do this. But anyways, you have the same menu here where you can select and filter out what you're looking for, and then a formula here that shows the subtotal, so that all our 9x9 is going to total 2,600 square feet. So that concludes a basic review of generating the tables with this system. I did take things out of order in that the last of this series will be generating an electronic chain of custody. The system I have right now saves time over the handwriting method, but it's still a work in progress to try to make it fully automated. I will also be presenting my hazmat and universal waste survey and automated AHERA scoring systems in future screencasts as well. So thank you for your interest, and stay tuned.